Team, welcome to another episode of Ask Top, sponsored by MentorMilitary.com. I'm your host, Command Sergeant Major Retired Mark Arrett. Today we're going to discuss the new 4856, March 2023, as it pertains to event-oriented counseling substandard performance. Hey, before we get started, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Tell us what you want to hear about in the future. So let's go ahead and get after it. So here is the new form, and what I've kind of done in this form is I've started out with questions you might want to ask yourself when doing a substandard performance counseling. What is the purpose or intent of the counseling? What specific behavior are you addressing? What goal or behavior modification are you trying to obtain? List the facts, observations, indicators, other relevant information relevant to this counseling session. So the purpose would be discuss an ACFT diagnostic test failure. Goal during this session is to identify the root causes for the behavior and develop a specific plan of action to obtain a passing score during the next ACFT. Facts and observations. See the ACFT scorecard. Now, when we get into key point 1, it says specific instances of substandard performance. Explain expectations and how the subordinate did not meet the standard or expectations. So, my three key points here are clearly identify the substandard performance, lay out the task condition standard, what elements of the task condition standard were not met. Focus on the behavior and not the individual. That is critical. You're not trying to blame somebody for something. You're trying to correct substandard performance. Don't make this personal in nature. Stay focused on the substandard performance and the methods to correct the substandard performance. So the example might read, Specialist Sharp, on date, you failed to achieve a passing score for the run during the diagnostic ACFT. Specifically, you must complete the run in under blank minutes. You exceeded this time by 1 minute and 32 seconds. So I think we covered that element fairly well. Now, recognize patterns of behavior that may keep the subordinate from meeting the standard. So the two elements I brought up here are examine the specific substandard behavior, try to determine the root causes for the substandard behavior, develop a plan of action that focuses on the root causes of the substandard performance. So for example, in discussing this issue with Specialist Sharp, he revealed that he twisted his ankle 2 days ago while hiking and did not think it would impair his performance. However, during the plank event, he re-injured his ankle. He believes this caused him to fail the run. He explained that he has never had an issue passing the ACFT and believes he can retake the ACFT once the ankle heals and pass the test without a problem. Now, this is a diagnostic test failure, so we really don't have to give the separation statement, but I like to give it as an information statement only so that if they do fail a record, they've already been told that there's a chance of separation. So key point 3, identify personal matters affecting subordinates' performance. 2 key points here. Are there any personal issues that could be causing or contributing to substandard performance? Examine all areas of personal matters, family, social, finance, emotional, physical, medical. Do not pry. Ask the soldier to share items they feel comfortable sharing, and should they not feel comfortable sharing something with you, request that they at least conduct a self-examination of the issue they do not want to discuss and see if there is something they can do on their own to prevent the issue from impacting their performance. It might also be a good idea to suggest that the soldier consider speaking with a professional concerning the underlying issue, such as a licensed counselor, medical provider, chaplain, therapist, or other subject matter expert. You can offer to make an appointment for the soldier. The soldier can do this on their own. The goal is to get the soldier to recognize that a personal matter may be involved and take corrective action to correct the issue so it does not continue to play a part in the substandard performance. Example, Specialist Sharp shared with me that he had no personal matters that might be impacting his ability to perform to standard on the ACFT. This is an interesting block. Is the subordinate being considered for rehabilitative transfer to adverse action, including separation? I checked no, but as you know, soldiers that continually to perform substandard have a possibility of being separated and in cases of behavioral issues potentially transferred to another unit. So my comment here is, since you are conducting a substandard performance counseling, it's likely you will or could recommend rehabilitative transfer, adverse action, or separation. Therefore, it might be appropriate to comment as to what action might be considered if corrective action is not successful. Example, the only action to be considered at this time is corrective training to ensure the soldier can successfully pass the ACFT. However, I've explained to Specialist Sharp that failure to pass 2 record ACFTs could result in possible separation from service and additional corrective training. Now let's look at plan of action. The plan of action should establish goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and have a time or deadline assigned to each goal. So, for example, Specialist Sharp was directed by me to have his ankle assessed by competent medical authority and, if possible, obtain a profile to allow the injury to heal properly. He will attend sick call tomorrow morning and report back to me with the results. If granted a profile, Specialist Sharp will work to conduct physical training within the limits of his profile. Since there are no other indications that Specialist Sharp would have failed the test, had it not been for injury, we will not conduct formal corrective physical training. Instead, Specialist Sharp and I will develop a weekly physical training plan that he will follow during recovery. Upon completion of recovery, Specialist Sharp will be given 3 weeks to train for the run event. Now, it talks about implementation start time. So let's look at what I have to say here in item 10. The start time should commence as reasonably as possible. That's not to say it should start immediately. Evaluate the entire situation and the environment in totality, then make a reasonable decision as to when the plan of action should start. For example, let's say the soldier failed the ACFT on a Friday. Given the totality of the situation, it might be appropriate to wait the following Monday to begin corrective action. Would it really be necessary and reasonable to give corrective action on that Friday or over the weekend? Most likely not. Remember, the key is to help the soldier obtain the standard. Overbearing implementation of the plan of action and or punishment rarely achieves long-lasting results and usually ends up fostering an environment of animosity and resentment. So the example might look like Specialist Sharp will maintain his physical fitness level by executing the physical fitness plan we developed during this session. He will only exercise and work within the limits of his profile. So let's talk about assessments, date, and time frames. As part of the goal process, build in reasonable assessment dates. These dates should be based on the soldier's current performance level and what a reasonable person should be able to achieve given the appropriate training and the time to overcome the substandard performance. The specifics will vary based on the task being performed, mental versus physical. Soldier's level of experience in the task, level of training, physical conditioning, age, maturity, etc. Every soldier learns differently. Each soldier may progress at different rates for various reasons. During the assessment, watch the soldier's specific and overall performance. Are they struggling mentally or physically? Are they having difficulty understanding the task, condition, or standard? Why are they having difficulty? Dissect what's going on, look past the obvious, and use critical thinking skills to help develop the soldier grow. Help the soldier to grow. Your mission as the leader is to help the soldier succeed. Soldiers are individuals and they respond differently based on experience, age, maturity, and training. For example, if the soldier fails an ACFT, you might consider conducting an ACFT assessment every 2 weeks, but this could also be seen as counterproductive as it does not give the body time to recover. It might be more appropriate to assess the soldier once every 2 weeks or once a month. Session closing. Anytime someone disagrees with the counseling or a portion of the counseling, or for any reason they disagree, I encourage them to check disagree. And here's my rationale behind that. A soldier should always provide remarks if they disagree with anything contained in the counseling statement, counseling methods, attitude, tone of the counselor, etc. Basically, the soldier disagrees. If the soldier disagrees with anything, they should write their concerns on the counseling statement. This ensures that the chain of command sees both sides of the story when reviewing the document. If the soldier's response will require time to write, the soldier should consider placing the following comment in the session closing block. I request 48 hours to prepare my statement of disagreement with the counseling, or I request 48 hours to prepare my statement of disagreement with this counseling, and the counselor refused to allow me the time to properly prepare my statement. Bottom line, if you would disagree for any reason, you should consider marking disagree and provide comments in writing as to why you disagree. Leader responsibilities. The leader should list all their responsibilities required of them to help correct the substandard performance. Remember, as a leader, you are responsible for providing the soldier all the tools and training to become successful soldiers. So now when we get to assessments, the comment is, these are incredibly important. Should you attempt to separate or carry out an adverse action on a soldier, a good legal defense counsel will argue that the counselings without assessments are incomplete forms. As incomplete forms, they cannot be used to separate the soldier. The unit would have to start the process all over again and could use the previous counseling as evidence as past substandard performance, but the unit would need to show that they did their due diligence in attempting to rehabilitate the soldier. So, example, Specialist Sharp will obtain a profile. Specialist Sharp will train and work within the limits of his profile. Specialist Sharp will attain a profile. Specialist Sharp will train and work within the limits of his profile. The profile ends on insert date. Soldier will be given 3 weeks to prepare for the ACFT run event. Specialist Sharp will be given a diagnostic ACFT on blank date. Should Specialist Sharp fail to achieve a passing score on the test, he will be immediately enrolled in Special Population PT program designed to prepare him successfully to pass the ACFT within 4 weeks of the date of enrollment. 6. We will conduct an ACFT assessment every 2 weeks. Specifically, the diagnostic ACFT will be conducted on date 1, date 2. Now, some counselings may require further follow-up. So this could be something as simple as watching the soldier perform a task to standard, asking the soldier a question concerning a personal issue that was previously resolved just to check in and let them know that you are looking out for their health, welfare, and safety without being overbearing. In some cases, you might want to enter a future follow-up date on your calendar and conduct the follow-up and annotate it on the counseling form. This would depend on the specifics of the case. Example, let's say a soldier had previously had suicidal ideations and was successfully treated. It might be a good idea to follow up with the soldier on a monthly basis for a reasonable period of time and document the future follow-ups on the counseling form. The follow-up should not be intrusive, but designed to show a genuine concern for the soldier's safety and well-being. Now, the form has become a lot more extensive in nature and allows you flexibility to write it in the way you think it needs to be written. So remember, all I did was provide some steps to think about in each session or in each block, and then tell you or show you in a potential example. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy.